Well, okay. Okay, Sinadapi. Welcome to the Native Wellness Institute's 42nd week. Can you believe it? 42 weeks. Native Wellness Institute has been offering free to all of Indian and all of the indigenous world something to uplift, something to be positive, proactive, and to be productive and healing. Um, I'm wearing my, heal people, and hurt people, as we can see in our country. So we welcome you. The next hour, we just wanted to share with you Native Wellness Institute and Nistu Nidoniko Makoyo Sukoyi. It's my second Blackfoot name that I've had for 3 years. My first Blackfoot name I carried for 62 years. And that name, my elders, I outgrew, so they renamed me 3 years ago. And Makoyo Sukoyi was a name given to me by Roger Prairie Chicken and Charlene Prairie Chicken. She's a plume from Kainai on the Alberta side. I am a member of the Blackfoot Confederacy, and I am a member of the Amskapi Pikani, which we call the Blackfeet. I am also part of a large team. Native Wellness Institute is a large team that began, I guess you'd say, the 60s and the 70s and the 80s, doing wellness and healing and keeping the teachings of our ancestors alive. And so this power hour, we called it Snagging Sober. And we called it that because, like 20 years ago, we used to have these, they were modeled after like Oprah Winfrey and some of the stuff that you see on television. And it began there. We actually had and it was overwhelming because like we'd have these big gatherings of Native men, women, two-spirited. There was all of our generations would come together and we'd have fun. Native Wellness Institute, I remember at one of our gatherings we had speed dating. And it was so beautiful because it was like practice dating, because dating, romance, and courtship was something that our people they hold dear. And we have to start practicing at it because with the trauma or the intergenerational trauma, it wasn't always modeled to us that we had these long time systems. We had arranged marriage. We had, there was protocols of courtship. But we had, I just remember this one time. I mean, I guess I'm going to have storytelling with you because we had this one session and it was called speed dating. And those of you, if you've ever, we should bring it back because it was like, you set, 50 chairs one way and 50 chairs facing that person. And it was set up for heterosexuals. And we did learn later on that we have to same sex dating. There was different kinds of dating. So, but the speed dating, I just remember the body language and the eyes, and so we would put up on the screen, a question, and you had 3 minutes to date this person, and it was so fun because we would ask questions like who should do the dishes. I mean, like whose role, in this romantic, or if you're starting a relationship, and we would ask, questions like that, and then you would speed date this person. And then when the time was up, you switched chairs and you had a brand new person to date. And then another question would be put up around, should you have sex on the first date? So it was like an intense question. So then you're speed dating someone that you just met in this speed dating, a native person. And it ended up being so fun and so invigorating without blaming, without any kind of hurtful feelings. It was just a practice session at Snagging Sober. And snagging, for the other, the indigenous, especially the non-native people, we love our culture, and we have all this, and I wouldn't call them slang, but we have terms that all of us understand, and snagging is one of them. The people will ask, where'd you snag that person? Or how did you snag that one? And it's often done in humor to kind of acknowledge that one person and another person have decided to practice being in a relationship. And sometimes, shoot, we have such good humor. We have, some people snag all their life. And some people just keep snagging the same person and are together for 50 years. I mean, it's a term. And so Native Wellness Institute, we wanted to just have you, especially during the pandemic, especially what's happening in our country right now as we're transforming, especially that it's been 42 weeks, 10 months for some of us. And we're in a transformation for reevaluating our relationships and reevaluating our own relationship with ourselves. A lot of our wellness focus is on preparing you with your own self-care and your own self-wellness to show up as the best person possible, or to your transparent or your authentic self. So it's kind of it's fun. I think it's fun. And the cool thing is that next week, Native Wellness Institute, we do everything virtual, and we're kind of just staying like that. We'll reevaluate in June, but we're doing next week. Our virtual trainings are the new year, the new you, and so we're really helping all of our tribes and all of our indigenous and all of our international friends to really say, what is the new year and the new you? And in addition to that, that will happen next Tuesday and Wednesday, and then Thursday and Friday, we're offering our healthy relationship curriculum. And the good news, and we've decided to, number one, not charge anybody, because this is like our gift as a team. We want to start off the new year in a giving gesture. And so we just we changed, okay, there's no registration fee. And that's how Native Wellness Institute operates. And we opened it up for free just a couple of days ago. And my God, some of my team we were messaging earlier this morning. We had 260 some people just sign up. And so if you think about a virtual gathering, in our gatherings, what we have learned is that, Zoom time, you need to be graceful and gentle. So we go hour and a half, 2 hours, and we take an hour break, or sometimes we'll take a day break, and then we'll. So I just am looking forward to next week, and we invite you, and you can register online at our website, and you can come into our healthy relationship, which will be 12 hours next week. So I wanted to just start off with why are we talking about healthy relationships? Our curriculum is best practices. So if you have a SAMHSA grant, Department of Justice grant, or if you want to follow the science, if you our healthy relationship curriculum, which usually it's a training of trainers, we like to go in and help people. Not that we have to come all the time. We like to help you start doing the work, because it works best if the Native people who live in that community, or the indigenous people who live in that community, do the training. Especially when it comes to the long-term couples training, are the long term, especially when you're working. A lot of it is teaching you how to work with like teenagers when they're 13, 14, and they begin to, of course, it's hormonal, but they begin to explore that avenue of like, what does it mean to have a ring on your finger? It was the old. What does it mean to wear someone's locket? What does it mean to say, that's my boyfriend or my girlfriend or that's my partner? Are in humor they'll I think about some of our young people here. I just love, and our older people, they'll see someone and they'll say to them, hey, where's your honey? And then everyone knows who their honey is. And then they'll also in teasing, there's terms like on our res, they'll say, well, who's that? And they'll go, oh, that's someone's chippy. And that means they're seeing that person on the side with their other relationship. So our people are just so honest, and our sometimes our elders. I always think of the late May Tallow. I loved May because she was one of those matriarchs. She would, look around the hundreds of people at the powwow or the hundreds of people coming to get their face painted or ceremony. And when she didn't know someone, she would just, and this is like the old ladies, they'll ask the question, well, who's their family? And then, she'd want to know who their family is, who's their grandparents, who's their great grandparents, who have they been married to? It was like she would ask all these questions, and it was not being nosy or prying. She liked to know these things because she wanted harmony in our collective agreement of our people. And so the healthy relationship curriculum that we have with Native Wellness Institute, and we'll be doing next week, a lot of it it usually takes like 4 days. Sometimes we melch it into a couple of days in person. And now that it's virtual, we're just taking it in chunks of healing. And so I just wanted to take this hour just to share what we've learned. Back, like 2005, 2006, even like 2004, we did a lot of focus groups with several tribes. I think there was 5 main, and we went in and we asked them. It was interesting because, the funding was about keeping marriages together, but we turned it into healthy relationships, because it was not only the relationship with your romantic loved one, or the one that you were falling in love with, or the one that you had been married to for years. It was also the relationships that needed to be healed of what you learned from your parents and what you learned from your grandparents. What were the things that were handed down to you when you were developing a relationship, and how to bring that into healthy harmony. It was also, it was interesting because some of the healing sessions were between siblings. And it had to do with, because in Native country, your longest relationship that you have is with your brothers and your sisters or your cousins. And those a lot of times in tribes, like in our family, we currently have 64 first cousins, and then we have second cousins, third cousins, and we're all together. So that the healthy relationship, we had to change the term, so it wasn't like healthy marriage, it was like healthy relationships. And then of course, we're today, because all of us in this transformation, and I'm sure for those of you, just think about how just even the forgiveness that you've had in this since March. The beauty, I just wanted to, Jalene's always, we're in our conversation, and Jalene is our executive director of Native Wellness Institute. She said, tell everyone about your vaccine experience. And so, yesterday, it's so beautiful, in the emotions right now. It's like fresh with me because I got the needle right here, and it reminded me of flu shot, or there's just right here where they stuck the Moderna, and we had the Moderna, not the Pfizer, and they're two different vaccines. And so remember that when you get your vaccine. When they stuck me, it was just, I didn't even feel it. It was just like nothing. And right now, so that was exactly 24 hours ago. And so 24 hours ago, I got the inoculation. I got the COVID-19, the first shot. And then the second shot comes February 4th. But I wanted to share with you, and I guess it's fresh because I just have overwhelming hope. I have such tremendous hope for our world. But I was sitting with, and Earl Old Person, he's 95 years old. He just came in as I was leaving. And I don't know, when I seen our traditional chief getting his first vaccine, I just was like, hell yeah! Hell yeah! It's like right on. And then I found out some of our bundle holders, I seen them getting the vaccine. Us old ladies, we use our skirt. I just got so overwhelmed with happiness that we were gonna live, and we've had 1,200 on this reservation who have had COVID and survived it. But we're just preparing for a couple more funerals, and so we're in that healing just as you guys are. But so to get this vaccine was, I don't know, just joyful and hopeful. And after when I got it, I just felt like not only doing the happy dance, but just driving around town, just going, and then all the elders that we all had to sit, because you sit for 15 minutes, and those of us who have, I have a sulfa allergy, so they have to make sure if you have any kind of allergy, they make you sit for sometimes a half hour or more, just to make sure that there's no side effects or no symptoms, checking for fever, dizziness, and all. And so while we were sitting there, it was interesting. We call it a buffalo length apart, so we're in this giant circle, and it was kind of cool because whenever Blackfeet see a circle, they kind of men will sit on this side and women will sit on this side. But we were all so intermittent, we were mixed, and everybody was, you couldn't, we all had masks, so, but you could, how when someone smiles with their eyes, you could tell, you could, there's facial recognition or a lot of things you could do with your face, but you could feel the energy. As you could see the ones walking, they'd walk by the circle, and then as you could see them walking in, and there was almost an apprehensiveness, because number one, a lot of us haven't seen each other since March. Or we only waved to each other in the car, and so we're actually seeing each other in real person, and that energy, that synergy of us all coming together. And these are all the matriarchs and all the grandfathers, and the 75-year-old and older, and then 60 and old, coming in, and we're all getting the vaccine. And so I wanted to just share a little bit of that with you, because that healthy relationship, and as people were, it was like all was forgiven. We were all starting fresh, and we were all starting new, and people were sharing, what they wanted to work on. I was one of the gentlemen there. We were talking about, doing our archival research at Fort Benton, and then he just started talking about his mom. She's 95 years old, and all the stories that she has told him, and so then it became storytelling. in this forgiveness and in this joyfulness, this healthy relationship, because we all knew we were going to live in, and you know how Indians are. We're we all started started teasing each other, like, one of my cohorts, I guess, we're always working on genealogy, and we're really helping people find their blood quantum ancestry and the stories. And she said to me, she said, well, Grandma Lillian, gosh, what was she, 109 when, and she lived, and so we kind of got that DNA in us, and so she goes, well, we got about 40 or 50 more years. We better start cracking. Like we've projects we've been working on, for the last 30 years, and what new projects are we bringing up? So like a new project, and when I get off this power hour, and it's just, I ask you to say prayers. I ask you to. We're meeting with some of the Field Museum in Chicago and other researchers, and they're looking at an exhibit with Kami Poismanix, because I'm also part of the Stand-Up Headdress Society in the Blackfoot Confederacy. And the museum, sometimes they just acquired a stand-up headdress from the 1800s, and they want to do things respectful. And so they want to look at leadership, not only of other, flowback war bonnets, but to look at this society, and it still exists. There's, close to 80 women members. I'm a new member. I was transferred in 2016. My mother, when she was on tribal council, was transferred in 2007. And then my sister Lori was transferred in 2017. But we have all these members who, one of our members, and this has to do with healthy relationships, because when you're an owner of that, you have a responsibility for wearing it in public as much as you can to uplift the people. But in pandemic, we're not like so. Anyhow, that's going to happen after this power hour. So let me let me start with Native Wellness and some of the good things that we have learned about snagging sober, and that just refers to that each of you, especially during this pandemic, you may have decided to end a relationship or renew a relationship, or you're just gonna take some time and have a better relationship with yourself. I mean, I think that's the beauty of it. So Native Wellness Institute, one of the first really good lessons that we learned in moving towards a healthier relationship was in Rapid City, South Dakota. And we had a group of young men, and they were mainly from Pine Ridge. Some were from Eagle Butte, and a couple they were from the reservations near there. And they were working at the high school in Rapid City, South Dakota, and they went through the healthy relationship curriculum. And they decided, so there's like 10 modules. There's like, historical traumas, understanding why some get into toxic relationships and how to get out of that. There was gender. These are like the themes. There's like communication, and how do you learn to communicate, and how do you learn to date? How do you learn to bring romance? And so there was a group of these young men, and I want to speak to them because the lesson we learned is after the 4 days, and they practiced each session, because the curriculum is it's set up so that you have activities that you practice. And then they give it to the group, and then we watch them, and we certify them. So these guys, so the lesson we learned with them is, in this group there was like 7 Heyokas. and heyokas are they're contraries, and they're a couple of them um, never drank or never had drugs in their life, and they took this and tailored it this way. And so the way that they saw creating healthy relationships is that you had to court each other. It wasn't just the male's role, but the female, that there was actually, that there's a dance, and that this courtship has to be mutual, and you have to make some rules of the courtship. And so the way that they delivered the curriculum, and it was so beautiful, it was just beautiful, is they knew some courtship songs, and a lot of them were just hand drum singers. And so the way that they went in, and they're in high school, so you're eighth grade, ninth grade, 10th grade, that age, they were trying to bring healthier relationships to that age category in high school. So the way that they came in, and they had the next 3 years, they had to work with these teenagers. So they would just come in and sing in courtship songs. Double beat, coming, singing courtship songs, and then they would do a piece of the curriculum. They'd give them the male sexuality quiz, which was always fun, and we have a female sexuality quiz, and give them the quiz but not the answers. And so then they would sing courtship songs, and what their effort, for that 3 years is, then they all wanted to learn to sing courtship songs. They all wanted to learn to play the flute, and to go outside and to court someone. And then they all wanted to learn, having, because in some of our tribes, the courtship is, while you're courting, you'd see in the old days that have someone horseback, kind of not near you, but they would be monitoring. They would be like, they would say like a guardian while you're courting. They kind of steer you and allow you to see if you're compatible and a couple that can learn to live together. So to live together and live together, for a long time. And so romance and courtship, we've learned that was some of the mending. That was some of the healing. That was some of the long-term, proactive, productive stuff that needed to come in healthy relationships. And I just want to say a note, because that group went on for years, and they worked with all those teenagers, and then from there it kind of moved out, because it was not only courtship. So the courtship lasted, but then as they were starting to practice like living together or being together, or if they had made a child together, if they had brought that sacred life into as two people coming together, or adopted, and another way to adopt the children. And so I remember they learned that the couples needed couples talking circles. And so a healthier way, so again, we're talking about snagging sober and moving into healthier relationship. It worked really well. And then another place that they did this was down in, on the Alberta side, but on the Wyoming side. And it was just so helpful to bring that couple into learning better communication with each other, the do's and don'ts, learning gentle, ways of having a couple do prayers, do praying together when they were up against a challenge as a couple and in a relationship. So you think about that, and so I wanted to share that story with you. The other, another like a big, okay, and one more on the courtship. I guess so it's good stuff. Is I remember that group. They said when a couple is coming together to figure, especially if they're from different tribes, like a different tribe coming to a different tribe, but that even if they're the same tribe, that what courtship meant is to experience the four seasons together. And for some all over, like here we're in winter, and some reservations have two seasons. They don't have the four seasons, but they'd always say, and it was more like an annual thing, is that to live together and see how you operate together. Like what do you do in the springtime? Is what ceremonies happen? What kinds of things do you make for the other person? Whether it's sewing, beading, what kinds of, or even to make a song for someone that you're in love with or that you're falling in love with. So remember those four seasons, because developing a healthy relationship is really seeing how you can be with that person, whether it's romantic or even now. I was just thinking this, now that we're going into winter in the pandemic, everyone, and now that we're in the season of hope, incredible hope in 2021. Yes, we have some challenges, but after January 20th, we're going to move into a different reality, and when we're moving into these healthier relationships with our coworkers, because like on our res, we've just started going from virtual to where actually everyone is going back into the office and working in their space, getting their temperatures. And now that we've got the vaccine, we, 75-year-old and 60, and then pretty soon we'll just get down the lines where everyone is vaccinated, probably in the next couple of months. And then we still, healthy relationships, even though I will be vaccinated and not, I cannot get COVID, to be a participant in your tribe and in your community, I'm still going to wear a mask, because you can still carry. You can still carry and infect someone else, and so that's a healthy relationship. So let's talk a little bit more about that snagging sober, and how your self-care and how you show up into a relationship. I was, because I heard a term last night that someone was saying, they're doing everything virtual, and that they don't wear hard pants. And hard pants, and they were saying, what does that mean? So in health, if you notice, one of the things in healthy relationships, and let's just say in courting, or if you're going to snag sober, you can't you can't be in your sweats all the time. You can't be grubby. You can't, it's like show your best self when you're with your family. And I think about that now, because like some of us during the pandemic, now that we're moving into the hope phase, we should take good care of ourselves, and dress up, like, make it fun. Like I just got this for as a solstice gift, and for the power hour, and it's brand new, and it's weird. I had it hanging on the hanger, and I thought, ooh, next power hour. And you can get these shirts. We have I like this one. I like all of them, but we have Shift Happens, Party Like It's 1491. So in moving into a healthy relationship, it shows that you're invested in that person if you show up looking good. So just men, we want you shaven, we want your hair combed, we want you with fresh clothes on, we want you, and for women, I was just thinking about, I love how our young people, I mean, I just dazzle, when I see the long eyelashes and the eyebrows. I don't do that stuff. But I was thinking about, the other day, I got all these comments, because I don't I used to wax, but whatever you need to do, wax or just be your authentic self to show up, and that you're showing your best self. You're being transparent. So that's like physical stuff, but also in the attitude and the inside, and the coping and the emotional support for each other. So a lot of times, especially I was just thinking now that the couples that I see that have gone through bereavement together during this pandemic, it's just very important to verbalize, and to not keep any of the healing feelings of the bereavement or the grief and the loss. Or, and it may not just be grief and loss of a person. Some of the feelings, it may be grief and loss of a lifestyle. It might be grief and loss of a job. It might be, grief and loss. I was just, our honorary board member, Cecilia Fire Thunder, her house burnt down. And so we're in close communication. She's gotten so many gifts, even though this tragic thing happened. So even today, that close communication, because she said they're cleaning it all up, and so they're dragging all of the stuff away from her house. So today's like that. Going through healthy relationships is where you can go through the hard stuff and the challenges together, and still come out on the other side, and you're stronger. So think about, as those of you, and I want to say, Esther Tailfeathers, Dr. Esther Tailfeathers was reminding us, because in our tribal traditions, like we don't eat in front of other people. Like, you don't show up with your pizza and eat, and everyone, unless you gotta share. There's like a sharing thing. So she was just saying that even those who have gotten the vaccine shot, you don't put it out there because others haven't gotten it yet. So I was thinking about that, because I view it from a public health model, and because I know that the more we get vaccinated, we will eventually stop the deaths and the spread, and then we can create the new normal. And so I decided to be transparent with that, and and so did she. So, which is really good, because I was thinking, God, if anybody, I just was so happy when all of our essential workers at the hospital got the COVID shot, and all of our elders now 75 and older have gotten it. So it's just so beautiful. So as it moves on, but I wanted to share with you a couple other learning lessons of the healthy relationship curriculum. And the healthy relationship curriculum has to do with parents modeling the healthy relationship to their children, or their teenagers, or even their adult grown children. That would always come up in our gatherings, is that not to keep secrets. Because if you keep a secret and it comes out later on, it feels like a betrayal. So it's to try to talk about things, to talk about the challenges that a relationship goes through, and how you got through them. Was it, and if you had help in forgiveness, especially if there was a betrayal. And I also, I was just thinking, in our bigger world, we have our native world. Recently, Mackenzie Scott, who was married to Mr. Amazon, and I'll just call him Mr. Amazon, and they fell in love young at Princeton University, and or driving across country with just a laptop, creating together in a couple, creating together Amazon. And they were together for 25 years, and then there was infidelity on his part, and so they decided to divorce. And I mention that because that's like it's a curiosity, and we're curious people. And as so she decides, she gets like 58 billion in the divorce, and she just said, I'm gonna start giving it away. So she had like her staff research communities that were, and I'll just our community. We have green buildings in all the United States. Our tribal college has these green buildings. Plus, we have language curriculum, and I think the other colleges near here that got some of the money that was given had to do with the successful renovation of teaching the language. And so even in that relationship, I mention that because here you have, they divorced. And what we learned in this curriculum is that sometimes we have to help people plan to separate, plan to take what has happened in a relationship and to separate and to start their own new lives. And so that teaches a couple of lessons, because one of the things in the healthy relationship is that when you have one partner and one partner, is that it works better if you allow each other to grow. And a lot of the exercises, especially like chapter 8 of this curriculum, is about allowing each other to grow, where you let that person go off, and whatever their interests are, you allow them to grow in that and not get jealous of it and not try to, and so I'll just, let's see, how can we translate that? Like there's the women who will go along with men that like sports. I mean, like if let's just say it's the football or it's the basketball, and the women will go along with them, and the women will make the food, and the women will do whatever they want. And so, to make it healthy, we're just asking you to consider what the men could also help with what the women are doing, and what the women cherish. That it isn't just off balance or one sided. That you help each other grow. And so a question you could ask in a healthy relationship is, how are you helping your partner grow, especially during this pandemic and during this transformation time? There's been so much transformation. Some of you may have discovered that you want to write your story. Some of you have discovered that I love one of our young men here. He showed a fiddle, and he said, I'm going to learn how to play this fiddle. And I was just thinking, man, how cool is that? In the pandemic, people start to learn new skills, or they start to grow in different ways. And they also, I don't know, it's like out of the fire comes the phoenix. This transformation of people discovering that they want to go back to school, that they're in school, that they want to finish their PhD, or that they want to do. They want, like I was listening. I always attend 12-step meetings, and one of our members was talking about that he's just learned to walk with himself, of course, with him and his dog. And it was sharing in the meeting that the most helpful thing during this pandemic is, and he was describing how he just started out, and that day he just physically walked 12 miles. And how that has helped him grow. And then I was thinking, well, wouldn't it be good if, like, if he had a companion besides the dog? And then I think, maybe that's that self growing. We needed this hibernation time. We needed this time to relearn to cook, Because like I swear, I love even all the food that was given out on our reservation. Everybody's like cook. They're good cooks, And I was just sharing with my life partner. I remembered I like to make meatloafs, but I like to use turkey. And so, and this is kind of in our healthiness, because he's a better cook than I am, so he's taught me some things. But I was telling him, I said last night, I said, God, I just started taking the turkey, it's ground turkey, and then I just started throwing in celery, and then I just was throwing in little shaved carrots, and then I put some garlic in there, and then I took a big jalapeno pepper and I sliced it, and then instead of using egg, I used milk as a milk, and then I used a little bit of some crackers, like some Ritz crackers, and put it all together. And I said, I swear to God, that was the best meatloaf I have ever tasted. So part of healthy relationship is, of course, cooking together. But if you're experimenting like that, allowing each other to learn together. It might not always turn out as well, but cooking together, taking care of things around the house together, building things together. I just love the beauty of where I live. I see a lot of couples, they've decided to move out of town or out of the city. They're building things together. They're building gazebos, they're building places where they can grow. So one of the things I wanted to share with you around healthy relationships, and it's a relationship of some of the do's and don'ts of plants and medicine, and this is not this. Some of this comes from Wilbur Fish, and we always tease. We say Wilbur Fish stick. Wilbur was saying that in order to let's take sage, sage, or let's take horse. Let's do horsetail. Horsetail is a plant, and horsetail. When you're learning about it, he said, in developing a healthy relationship, you have to begin by watching that plant all year long. You have to begin by seeing how it hibernates in the winter, what it looks like when it first starts to come out of the ground, how it looks before, when it's the correct time to harvest it and to pick it. It's like you're learning the season and the growth. And so the same way in a relationship is that you have to spend time together. You have to spend time together and see where, and it's maybe habits, where your habits can come along, or how you have to readjust your habits. When Wilbur would always talk to us, I would always think about, and he said sometimes if a plant doesn't want to be in relationship with you, like when you go out to harvest it, or you go out to look for it in the woods, it might hide from you. And I was thinking about that because there's even one plant. I'm gonna take a drink of my tea. I love Lipton tea sometimes, the no sugar. He said there's this one plant that we go out, and you actually have to sing to it. So I was coming back to, it's part of that healthy relationship is we gotta court. And so I know when you go out, and one of our Ganaxdemid brothers, when he was first transferring, because we got transferred to pick this plant, but you go out and you sing to it, you court it, and then you will always find it. And because sometimes when you go out and you think about, there's a dance. It's a kindness. It's a dance with the other person, and this dance is a back and forth, and it's patient. It's adoring each other. It's being grateful for each other. It's learning what that person likes, learning what that person enjoys doing, and then relearning together. It's almost like that dance with that plant. So I was thinking about, because like there's several during this pandemic. One of the blessings, and this is, I guess, my growth, and when my life partner did come in August and the beginning of September, um, he was just like watching me, because like I was out digging roots. I was digging, I was digging grandfather root. I was digging licorice root, and then I learned, the way I learned is you had to take fresh lake water, and you had to be gentle. You had to take the lake water when you're getting it and putting it around the root, so that you just, because I had a dream once that the root told me that you just don't rip them out of the ground in dryness, that to take some of the lake water and to put it around the ones that you're going to harvest, so that when you do take them, it's gentle and it doesn't hurt them. It doesn't hurt them when you get the roots, that it's gentle. And then you have to wash it with the lake water and take time, and they call it a free water, like water in a bottle is captive water, but free river water, free snow melt, that water is more spiritually intact. And so you wash the root, you gently, and while you're washing the root, and if you're going to cut up some of the roots, or while you're washing it, you talk to it, and you talk to the root, and that's that communication in a healthy relationship. You tell the root, I really thank you for giving your life. I really thank you for the healing that you're going to give. I really appreciate that you came from Sakum, the earth. You talk to it, you sing to it as you're preparing it, and you never hurry. And so some of that healthy relationship, it's not a hurry, it's a patient thing. And then, I always put a lot of my roots, I put them, I'll have like cardboard, and you can use cloth or you can use paper towel, and then you would put them out there, and you allow them to dry in the sunlight. And so I was just noticing, like, because my my life partner, he hadn't gathered. He saw his mother and he saw his aunties do that, but as he was watching me do that, that was our courtship, because he was doing other things, and I just said, I'm just going to be out here. And when you're doing that, when I'm taking care of the plants, which is, I guess, that's my football. That's just like I got to respect when he's doing his football. This was my football. And as I was, cutting the plants, and the roots, all the roots, and getting it, even with the dried berries, he was watching me, and I just thought to myself, oh, okay, we're courting each other. This is the courtship. Because we have these dialogues on, like, I have to earn his trust. He has to earn my trust. I have to earn his love, and he has to earn my love. And I have to earn understanding him as a man. And so I was thinking about, and some of most of it's good, but sometimes there's like, and I catch myself, and we'll talk about it, because I'll say, God, you act like such a man. And he goes, what do you mean? And I said, well, okay, let me put it this way. Like, there's some men, their dog dies, and then next week they go get a new dog. And that's how they solve the problem. When their dog dies, they have to have bereavement, they have to have grief, they have to have they have to go through all those phases. They just don't run out and buy another dog. So when I say something like, you're acting very mannish. Sometimes men handle things different, so you have to communicate with me because I may not understand how you handle that. How, I can't understand when someone can just go get a new dog. Like that's because that reminds me of men that just go get a new woman. And anyway, we have the beauty of it is to have the discussions and to talk about your feelings and why you're having the feelings. And I don't know, there's something magic in that because when you share the stories and you talk about the feelings, the love grows stronger. They used to call it the pillow talk. But when you talk about each other's feelings and you let that you trust, don't have barriers up, or you don't have secrets. And I think about it has to do with because in our healthy relationship curriculum, one of a topic that always came up for women, and I'll just mention it because we welcome you to come join us next week, is the women that lived with men on the down low. And every training there was the healing around women who stood by men who were on the down low, and even if they had children, that there had to be some healing around that, and so the healing for themselves, because even sometimes everyone knew it in the community, but they themselves couldn't see that, and then how they reconcile that, especially if they have children together. And that's the beauty of Native Wellness Institute's curriculum is if there has been challenges, if there have been betrayals, if there have been historical things that come in a family, it's just like we come from a lot of people who are in boarding school. So the healthiness and moving to healthiness, we just had to teach people how to say I'm sorry, how to say I love you, and how to come to you and say I need help. I need help with this. And just because that's a boarding school, not to trust, not to talk, not to feel. And so in building a healthy relationship, you have to bring that into that new relationship. So I'm just like, I don't know. I guess because I've been vaccinated and I know I'm going to live. I knew I was going to live, but now I really know I'm going to live. And unless a train hits me tomorrow, but there's no trains around here, is I wanted to invite you next week, because Native Wellness Institute, we will, and they're free. So go to our website and you can register. But I wanted to kind of end on I guess I would call it a homework note. And in healthy relationships, and it's as easy as, in one column, look at the relationships you had when you were 20 years old. Look at the relationships when you had when you were 30 years old. And even the ones, if the relationships, and go back, and your homework is to say, what did I learn from that relationship? And how do I want this next relationship to be a little bit different? And what am I, and that means also, what am I willing to compromise and to renegotiate? Because we only grow when we get in situations that aren't super known or that we can control or that are comfortable. That's when we grow together. And so I challenge you to make a list of all your exes. are ones you've witnessed, and say, what did you learn? What did you learn? And this is the challenge. When you have those lessons that you have learned, please share that with your current children and your current grandchildren of what you learned from grandpa, from grandma, or from your relationship. And so I'll end with that. We thank you, Native Wellness Institute. We're all of these are on YouTube. or they are on our Facebook page. And so, and it's Friday. Zooms will end by 5, and then you have the weekend off, and we have a brand new world, and there's just so much positive happening. So with that, I want to say kitakito matsuno. That means I'll see you later, and kitsikako mem. I love you very much, and we'll